Devan returns home with a goat he purchased along the way of an exhausting journey. The next day he finds a quiet place to study the spell scroll, when Platos informs him that the location he found will be the seat from which he would rule. Devan devotes the next few days to the study of magics, and using his newfound fame to begin construction of his tower. After he finishes his studies, he leaves Platos in his new shrine along with his scroll and heads back to Romulus, seeking to avenge himself and reclaim his enchanted circlet. He reaches Romulus as the sun is setting and beats the few guards he finds into submission. Learning Remus is out on a raid and is expected back the following day. So Devan makes himself comfortable on Remus's throne and awaits the war chief's return. When Remus finally arrives, they face off in an honor duel which Devan wins. The noble hero that he is, Devan spares the defeated war chief, taking only his weapons and freeing the hostages before returning to his own village with a herd of liberated sheep. Exhausted and out of mana, Devan finally reaches home, only to find a giant looming over the villagers. Will Remus repent? Will Devan unite the villagers? Has the giant just popped over to borrow a cup of sugar? Let's find out now on Dicing with Death.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dicing with Death.
Hello.
How is this all going?
We'll see. I won't get to rate it until afterwards.
Yes, of course.
But I will express my my critique with an emoji.
So. Welcome to Dicing with Death, everybody. We're here to play some of the story, the legend, some might call it, of Devan the Divine. Even though he's an arcane caster, he's just divine to behold.
Yeah, I think it's referring to his hair or something. So, well, okay. I guess I'll fill some airtime while you gobble down your sausage. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just leave an awkward silence. That's probably the better approach.
Perhaps. That was a bad time to take a bite. But it was the last bite, so it's over and done with. So where last we left our intrepid hero, you had just come home, as the recap had seen, and saw a giant in your town. You are basically out of MP and kind of low on the hit points, too?
Yep.
Anything we want to talk about beforehand?
I don't think so. We're already pretty hopelessly late. I mean, precisely when we meant to start.
Yes. Always on time. Never late. He always arrives precisely when he means to, something like that.
Yeah, unless his cat holds him up.
Hey, those cats cause all sorts of trouble, right? They can knock your stuff.
Still waking up.
Not quite right. So you will arrive in Necrot to see a giant standing above your town.
Yes.
You are some ways distant, not quite actually in Necrot proper. As you see this giant turn and strut out of town with a very large hooked stick in his hand. As he walks, he drives a herd of goats before him.
My goats?
You gotta get back into town to find out. Could be your goats, just could be the neighbor's goats.
I approached Necrot. I approached the giant.
The giant is on the
we'll
north
see if I make
end
it there in
as
time.
you are approaching from the south end.
Mm-hmm.
So you will first make it to town, and by the time you get into the center of town proper, the giant will be ever so slightly out of town. You may still attempt to catch up with him if you desire.
What do I have all these sacrificial sheep for if I the encounter's already done.
Well then.
But I guess I'll let this giant flee before me and just rack up the experience points for driving him away, right?
Nope.
Okay, well, I enter Necrot.
You enter the cross to the wails of women and children and men over the loss of their sheep and the dead body that lays in the middle of town.
All right, well, I approach the scene, unload a bundle of weapons, spears, and I think piled up high on a bronze shield. And go to look at this body. What has happened here?
The body is that of one of those younger boys in town who sort of always looks up to the older ones and wants to be them, but one of those people that's, they've got a person they always idolize. My wife is calling me. Hold on. Awkward.
That's all right. We got plenty of time. It's not like we've been waiting all morning for this. You probably missed her calls and texts too because the cat was holding the phone hostage. Can anyone in chat read lips? All right, he's back.
Sorry, we're gonna go get a couch today, and Lauren was wondering whether she should come home and go get a couch now, or if she should after days.
Usually, I'm the one that moves shows around to collect furniture.
Well,
at least I give you some warning.
Yeah. I'll tell you a story, right? Not a good story, not even an interesting story, but a story. It'll be boring, and you'll wonder why I told you.
Whose audio is loud? Koibu or me? You still. Right.
Oh, there we go. That's better. Ooh, turn up the thingy here. There we go. Nice and easy.
Well, it's not picking up every word it's only picking up the good words, the best words, and disregarding the.
You only need 10 out of 18 words from me. Anywho, the body is of a young boy. His name is.
Doesn't matter. He's dead.
Yeah.
Gretchen. Well.
Yep. And when I say a dead body, I mean like head entirely caved in, brain splattered out, just like a bowl where his head would be like an inverted, what do you call it, a concave arc. Looks like he's been smashed in the head with something huge.
Well, I approach the town square, flanked by sheep.
Mm-hmm. People are crying, and that is when the town elder, actually, first your parents will come on over to you, your mom leading the way, wrapping her arms around you and sobbing, worried, afraid that you might be dead because you've been gone for days and you're coming back all battle-scarred, and she didn't know if she was going to see you, and then this boy died, and then the giant, she's tearfully trying to explain all of this to you. A
lot of emotion.
As other people glance around. Your father comes over and throws his arms around you too, muttering something quietly like, I'm so glad you're still here, son.
Maybe it's better to piece this together by reading their minds rather than trying to get them to speak their minds.
Do you have a charge of
on
your helm?
I think so. I think it's been a day at least. Yeah, it certainly has. I was planning on using these powers on the giant, but I guess that encounter just walked away. So might as well use them to gather information here.
Yeah.
Maybe some legend lore on the giant as well. But for now, I think to decipher what these hysterical people are actually thinking about, I'll start filtering through their surface thoughts with ESP.
it appears that the giant showed up, demanded goats or sheep, some sort of livestock, and that one boy, Gretchen, stood up to the giant, saying something to the effect of, this town is protected, and the giant clubbed him. The little boy died. And then the giant just, kicked down someone's goat pen and started to herd their goats out. Let's see if this was your pen or someone else's pen. This was a neighbor's pen of goats. Your goats are still intact.
Oh, poor naive Gretchen. Von says. Takes more than one to stand up to a giant. Takes a whole village. And I gesture to the half dozen or so spears.
Yes.
And
quite
of course, the family whose goats were stolen now has a brand new flock of sheep.
You bequeath them the sheep?
For now, until their rightful owners show up and reclaim them.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll get our goats back.
The family is grateful for the sheep. I don't know if there's a great difference between goat herding and sheep herding, but they can figure it out. I'm sure.
I feel like sheep herding's easier. Goats are a lot more stubborn and, less effective of herd animals. But I don't know.
Yes, well, they have become sheeple now. And the giant has disappeared, headed actually in the direction of the cave. The old witch, the one with the fumes.
Well, I'm sure she can take care of herself.
Yes.
If I am not stopped or wanted, I will head towards the spring, the Quanat, and the shrine to, gosh, so many names to remember. Platos, there you go.
Yes.
Make sure everything is all right there. Perhaps mind wandering after this giant. Although I don't pursue it with my body, my thoughts drift after it. Consulting whatever folklore I may have, maybe with the aid of divine intervention, inspiration.
Right. As we discussed before, your crown, your circlet, what is it called?
I roll a 1 on my folklore check. So what horrible misinformation have I heard about giants that is contradicted by the powers of the crown?
Well, the thing that you misremember about giants is that they always travel in packs and families, and that they mate for life, and that you'll never find a giant by themselves. Like, they might wander by themselves, but they always have like a lair filled with giant kin. But your cap has a legend lore spell on it, doesn't it? Or that you can use.
It does, yeah.
Excellent. And this will tell you that is not true. Young giants will head off on their own, make a cave for themselves somewhere, or sometimes a house for themselves, and then eventually try and find a giant mate. They're most definitely sometimes in family units, and sometimes entirely solitary. Let me just give a quick once-over on the legend lore spell.
I think it crowdsources, doesn't it? It collects the information from everyone within, or am I thinking of a different spell?
I think that is locate landmark.
Oh, maybe you're right.
Reveals if legendary's material is available. Also reveals this material by place, name, rhyme, or riddle. Sometimes gives certain information regarding the person or place. This data is always almost in some cryptic form. Okay.
So there is some chance of it failing and a chance or casting time associated, but since it's an item,
Yeah, it's an innate
I assume
item
this
power,
might be
so
fudged. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and you had the giant at hand, so that would be 1d4. Maybe the shortest turn any casting time anyway. So about this giant in particular, you know nothing, but you do know through legend lore that there are many giants in these hills. There are roughly 10 giants live in and among the hills around here. I'm sorry, 20 giants live in and among the hills around here. Definitely not all together in one household. They're probably broken up into separate territories of like 150 square miles.
So by hills, you mean like this whole hilly region, or you mean this hex? Okay.
I mean the whole really hilly region, all of the brown hexes.
Gotcha. So I assume that confirms that these are hill giants?
Yes.
Both
by literal definition.
Yeah. Which aren't the scariest giants, but they're still like 19 strength and
yeah, it's still like +8 to damage or something. +9 to damage.
Mm-hmm. And virtually immune to my arcane spray.
Mm.
Well then.
Unless you can find a way to reduce their saving throw. So, Devon the Divine, what would you like to do? I mean, it's getting late already. You're arriving.
So I was
home in the
walking
evening.
I was walking towards the Quanat.
Right. You have arrived at the Quanat.
How's it looking?
The water flows fairly steadily at a, 20-30% increased rate from before. A small section of the hillside has almost like slid down in a very mild landslide. We're talking, a couple cubic feet of earth maybe at most.
What landslide? Wait, where's our landslide?
Near the Quanat, like the water, the flow rate has increased, and with it comes sediment from the hill, maybe a cubic foot or two, has flown out of the hill, and like the water's now pushed its way through it, and it's now just loose material around. But it appears that the interior of the hillside is beginning to erode.
Okay. Is there a structure built up around the spring itself?
There is not. Not yet, at least. Not until you construct it or have someone do it on your behalf.
Wasn't there a guy? So he built a little shrine and then quit? He spent a week building a little shrine and then wandered off.
Maybe he just hasn't gotten around to it yet.
I paid a guy a gem, which I think was worth 10 gold, and he sent his son to the nearby village to get some building materials. Right,
but he was working on the Platos shrine.
Okay, well, this better be a gorgeous shrine. Why don't you describe that then?
The Rammed Earth Platos shrine? Yes, it is a hexagonal structure that comes straight from the ground. The first floor of it is lifted about 3 or 4 feet off the ground, and it's just solid from there down. And then you have a 5-roomed structure within this hexagon that the snake can kind of move between and do, have his own little separate areas for whatever he needs. And then a pagoda-like steeped hexagonal roof sits atop it.
This is off to the side or something?
Yes, just off to the side of the creek, using some what's it called? What is that type of wood?
Olive wood? I don't know other kinds of trees there are around.
Some tulip wood.
What the hell is tulip wood?
It is a white wood. So the wood itself does not have a great
looks-
amount of color to it.
It looks kind of like Brazilian tulip wood. It looks kind of like the compacted earth or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, the tulip can come in. It does have a darker strains to it sometimes, but it will also come in a fairly blank whitish wood.
But just like the layered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
And the tulip wood has been sort of dyed. The earth here is red because it's got a lot of iron in it, and so there has been an attempt to turn the muddy soil into a bit of a paste and try and do a design, leaving the design up on the white wood for a while so that you can scrape it off later and it'll stain the wood in a pattern of sort of circles and loops and hooks and crosses.
Do I see any evidence of tribute at the shrine? Is there like a pile of rats or fruit left here, or?
There is a strip of jerky that is left in like an entryway as an offering, but there are no rats or other foods. They might have been consumed already or not left yet.
Well, I approach the shrine and sit beside it.
Your snake deity friend slithers on out and forks his tongue at you in the air, tasting your presence.
Platos. The the Romulans have been defeated, but it appears we have larger problems closer to home. Huger problems, giant problems.
I have heard of the giant. He came to town while you were away.
He whispers at you.
I just missed him.
And
I shrug. I don't know. I'm in no condition to fight a giant. Took everything I had to defeat Remus in single combat.
The snake just sort of bobs head in the air before you.
Have you been treated well? Are
yes.
you liking your new shrine?
Yes. You have done well. Your people have done well, and they shall be rewarded.
He says and forks his tongue at the increased flow from your creek.
Mm-hmm. And I will need to rest.
Okay. And rest it is. The giants have fled. You have gifted people sheep. There's still the dead young boy whose life cannot be compensated. But there's nothing we can do about that today.
I would like to keep Remus's spear for myself, and maybe his shield if it hasn't already been pilfered. Like, I'll go back to where I left the pile of weapons in the town square.
Yeah, the people are playing with them. Children and adults alike have picked them up and are sparring back and forth. The adults first, but now that the sun is going down and they're getting a little more tired, the children are left to play with them. There's one kid with a mild spear wound in his shoulder, and a couple with cut hands, but they'll live unless they get an infection, in which case they'll just die.
Nice. Not sure what to do with the shield, because I probably won't use it. But I'm going to play with the spear, train with the spear, see if perhaps, I don't know. We'll see. If I can convince my DM that it's a martial arts weapon or something.
A spear?
It's similar enough to a staff. I don't know. There's I think there's a crazy martial. There's like a regular spear is not a martial arts weapon, but if you take a spear and you put a spear on the other end and give it a fancy Japanese name, don't forget the shield in the middle.
Right. Then it's a martial arts weapon.
Then suddenly it's a martial arts weapon.
Mm-hmm. You have to add enough bells and whistles to it to become the martial arts weapon. Because they're defined by their complexity. Yes.
Streamers. It has to leave ribbons trailing behind it when you swirl it around. Otherwise, it's ineffective in martial combat.
God, what is it Sean's always quoting from those books? Like the heavens part and the leaves dance on the wind or something?
Yeah, Wheel of Time. The way they describe fighting in that book, they have sword play moves, like heron parting through the reeds. Mm-hmm. I think so. In lieu of describing in detail the movements, they just use these stand-in euphemisms. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll play with that spear, and we'll see about it.
Yeah. We'll peruse the martial arts section casually while we go about the rest of the game.
This might be a long-term thing.
Stretch goals are nice. You can rest and roll that magic.
More important is the HP, actually. NP will recover whatever. HP, I'm down. I actually didn't rescale based on level. Or did I? I don't know. But I'm down about 17 HP. And there's no healing or anything, right?
No. You do not have a healer in town yet. Mm-hmm. That might be a nice thing to get, though.
So I think
How do you get a healer?
I don't know. Let them borrow my Sirona and contemplate legend lore for long enough until they get it. So I think we might do a montage, unless you have other thoughts in mind, because I do need to, regain 17 HP.
That is pretty far down the totem pole. Yeah. So how are you going to regain hit points? Probably just by resting for a couple weeks. That seems like the best way to go about it.
Yeah, maybe Atropos can heal. That's a good point. Has she been known to treat wounds? Does she have a healing proficiency, herbalism proficiency?
No, she has not been known to treat wounds. She usually just
licks wounds, but it doesn't actually heal them any faster.
Yeah. I mean, there have been times where you've been like, I'm hurt. And then she'd be like, let me see your body. And it's like this creepy inspection of you. And she doesn't actually end up healing you. But she's like, she's being gross. What's the word? Using it as a pretense to manipulate your young, supple body in her hands. Which is sort of creepy. Yeah. Predatory.
You may need to rethink your NPCs given the climate of the day.
Yeah.
It's okay. I consent.
Yeah. And she's not going to knock you unconscious and do anything to you weird, right? This is a creepy, lecherous woman that is a known predator and threat, not a surprise predator.
There's a reason she's not allowed in town.
Yeah.
She's on a registry, don't worry.
Yeah. She is well known to be a creepy, lecherous fiend. Malshapen, deformed, with an appetite to match. Ugh.
Yeah, so let's see. Well, I guess we'll rest up. I do have a spell or two to attempt to learn again. And yeah,
And have you seen the new spell sheet that I have inserted your spells into?
Oh, did you actually add them?
Yes, look at them. They're all there.
Oh, okay. I was trying to figure out. I was hearing you talk about how to add them. I think during like the Tombs of Scoria prep, but I couldn't figure out how to copy.
So if you look at the spells.php page,
Goblins.
yeah, if you just click on the spell level, like the 1 in the upper left corner or something, after the page is done loading, there should be like a box that appears around it for a moment, and that
I'm
copies.
Not seeing it. Like I thought I heard you talk. I'm not seeing anything.
Well, click on a box and then try and just paste the text somewhere.
Okay, I guess it's just not showing me anything. Okay, and then how do I add? I guess let me roll first. So I don't know if this happened. This probably happens next day, but I'll go ahead and roll my spell learn chance.
Mm-hmm.
RD100 greater than or less than 71. Success.
Excellent.
So I learned this is minor disintegration, which I've already copied. If I add, where do I copy it into the JSON?
Yes, and then just enter, and it should.
Minor disintegration. Okay, so it did. Okay, I didn't see any box or anything appear. It must
Okay.
just be my browser or something.
Yeah, you're on one of them Macintoshes. Maybe
I'm on a PC, but but a Firefox, and I don't know how old it is, but ooh, sweet. Okay, so I've learned minor disintegration. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I only have one first level spell left. Well.
All right.
I can run 11 spells per level. I have 10 first level spells. And I assume maybe we don't count breathe magic against that, or do we? I don't know. It's fine for now. So far, I am counting it.
Against your whole list?
Yeah. Was there something about universal spells not counting against that, or was that a house rule that we had played?
I think that was a house rule. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so I guess I'll roll my willpower. It'd be cool to have like a willpower roll somewhere, so I don't have to manually roll D13, but.
That'd be nice.
Ooh, and you did add the MP to
the page as requested.
The page. Wow.
You
actually listened to my feedback.
I did, and I updated some spells that needed updating, and you were right, those spirit armors were shit. So whatever remains is better. And
so you did improve spirit armor?
Some things just got cut, and some things got improved.
Cool. You know what other spell is shit? Arcane Spray.
I still stand by. I think if you can get your opponent in a position where their saving throw is bad, because it's save versus dex. You know, if you can spray them from behind, or when they're webbed or shadow snapped, I think that it is still useful. Maybe
I did use it on an opponent that was shadow snapped, and I rolled better than them, and I still dealt 1 damage. Well, I'll use it a few more times and waste another couple dozen MP to demonstrate to you that it doesn't feel good, even even if the math's already been done by
and then we'll adjust
Discord
it
viewers
or something.
Yeah. I think just it may just be the nature of saving throws, or the way it, like, I do like the opposed D20s to get a maximum of 20 damage, but like the 2 bonus per level might be a bit extreme. And the trouble with the damage spell is that like the higher level creatures also have more HP, so it's like it's like exponentially worse. Like it's hard. Not only is it harder to hit them, but they also take less damage as a result of the higher save. So it's like double, and they have more HP.
Right. So it's less impactful.
So it's like double whammy. So like you do less damage and they have more life. Not that a spell needs to be balanced in that way, but considerations.
Well, we will attempt it, and if it blows real hard, we'll fix it, or magic it out of existence,
or make it a level 1 spell. Although I actually kind of need the level 1 spell slots, but anyways,
we'll sort it out reasonably.
Yeah,
as best as we can. So
I mean,
that takes you a couple days
The
to
other
learn.
the other classic level 2 combat spell, Melf's Acid Arrow, also kind of sucks in a similar way.
Melf's
But I
Acid
think this is
Arrows.
even worse than Melf's Acid Arrow.
Ooh.
Melf's Acid Arrow can be good, but it's just like it never hits. Right.
Yeah.
And then it's like it's the same thing where like you waste a level 2 spell slot and then you roll crappy on D20 and it just doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the world of shitty level 2 combat spells.
Yeah.
Also in here, Flaming Sphere.
That's a really good spell though.
Yeah, but it does like pretty low damage, and you got to concentrate on it each round.
2d4 a round. That's like it adds up, and it's AOE
Yes.
kind of.
I guess. Anyway. I guess you need to rest for many more days.
Yeah. I guess I go home and sleep. I need a wizard tower ASAP, so I don't have to keep going back to my parents' house.
Yeah. Great hero that he is, sleeping on the floor of his parents' house.
With all of our goats.
Mm-hmm. So, let's roll some more dice, gain some more hit points, learn some more spells if they are there to be learned. And when you feel...
That's pretty much all I wanted, but... I mean, I eventually wanted, I like the divination one you've got, like the linked masks thing.
Mm-hmm.
Watchful Ward, but I don't think that will be used anytime soon. Magic Key's kind of cool, but not doing a whole lot of dungeon delving.
So then we can just skip
maybe
the
Sealing
days.
Ward.
We can skip a week exactly.
Is that when something happens, or?
Yes. I guess it is 6 days later, so that'll be...
Oh, you bastard! So I don't get my extra con HP.
Well, I can move it to 7 days.
Well, 6 days later is this. If we count this as the first day, does it need to be complete bed rest for a week to get your con bonus, or is it just like
5, 6? Oh no, I did my math wrong. It is 7. I started on the second. I was counting the days and not the nights in between.
All right, and I think I do gain 1 HP for this first day, and then I'll gain 8 HP for the week. I'm sure I can gain whatever it is, 17
MP in 10 D13.
Well, 3 of them are reserved for my armor spell, which I should refresh, but I think I'm running low on the blessed leather.
14 in 70.
Yeah, I've only got 1 more blessed
13,
leather.
yeah. I think you'll be...
So I think I need to keep my 1-shot armor spell for now. So I guess I'll just roll a couple D13s just to make sure. I guess it's
fine. Yeah,
it's fine. Yeah, so
you would need to roll a string of 2s and 1s.
Yeah, it's 29 MP. And I will gain 8 more HP, which will bring me to 17 out of 25. And what else needs to be done? Do I visit? I will probably take a leisurely walk to Atropos at some point and ask her about the giant. Probably on like the 2nd day or something like that.
Okay. Let us visit Atropos then. You can take a hike into her hex, find her cave, scale the walls to it.
Can you tell me what these new symbols are on the hex?
Yes, this is it's supposed to be like a mountain cave.
Okay.
If we move it slightly off to the side, so maybe you can see what's going on.
So that
there.
means that Atropos lives there.
Yeah, or no, I think this is the cracks in the ground that the fumes are coming out of.
Okay.
That's for Atropos' cave, and this is the oasis that you came by. And I added this town.
Is that Romulus?
And this town.
Cool. Okay.
Show the people the map.
The whole map?
People deserve to see the map. Not the whole map, just where you are.
Cool.
Okay.
So I take it extra slow to make sure I'm continuing to rest and regain my HP.
Perfect.
And I go visit Atropos.
Excellent. You will arrive and scale the walls into her cave, only to find her busy
Atropos,
with another
I shout.
client, if you would call it that, or another person who has come seeking her wisdoms.
I probably barged right in,
Mhm.
assuming that she would never have any other visitors. So I think I climb right in and walk into this. Who is she talking with?
There is a youngish woman there with long dark hair that is sitting before Atropos, Atropos is like leaning in, wafting the vapors while gripping the young woman's thigh and sort of rolling back and forth a little bit. And you can see the young woman's a little frightened of what's going on. There's this creepy old woman who's like drinking in the vapors and whispering strange sounds in her ear and like holding onto her tightly enough that you can see like the marks that are going to be left by her nails on the thigh.
Yeah. Pardon my interruption, I say as I'll wait outside as I probably probe their surface thoughts, but I want to make sure that they can't tell that I'm scraping their minds for information. How does this work? Why is ESP not showing up in the search? You didn't remove it, did you?
No, but
From your
the
regular
search function is now a little bit weird if you like start searching for things that kind of hop around a bit because of the way that I had to insert this spell stuff. So the search function is a little borked.
ESP.
Yes. It is here.
I don't think they even notice unless they're using some spell to specifically notice. If it's used as part of an interrogation, they get a save.
Yeah, so I think unless they know you're searching their minds, it's fine.
Yeah. I think it's more like the surface thoughts are kind of just like wafting out there into the ether unless you're taking precautions to conceal them.
Right.
So like, yeah. So as I apologize for barging in, I barge in even further with my ESP. First to Atropos to see what she's divining, and then to the woman to see what she's thinking. Yeah.
Atropos's thoughts are incomprehensible. They are strange words and smells and sounds and like flashes of insight that just bombard your senses and leave you sort of like as if someone has just punched you in the nose lightly. Makes your eyes begin to water trying to read whatever is going on in her mind as she wafts these vapors.
Yeah, I quickly recoil and shift my focus to the client, to the woman.
The young woman is in an unpleasant predicament. Her family and one of the neighbors' families have insisted that the two children marry, and the two children have no desire to be with each other whatsoever. And the young girl is here looking for a way to change their futures, to get out of this arranged marriage by her parents, and find another path. She is definitely not wanting to be with the young man who she is betrothed to. And he doesn't really want to be with her either, to be fair. Both of the kids are unhappy about this. Surprise, surprise.
Well, I leave the cave, wait outside. Is there somewhere to wait out? Is there a waiting room?
No, there is a climb down to the ground below.
So I guess I climb down and wait beside the cave.
Mm-hmm. Maybe another.
How far is the base of the cave from?
It's like a 15-foot climb.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not that far. I wonder, so if ESP is blocked by 2 feet of rock, is that like a direct line? Or if there's like a door that's open, can the thoughts escape out the door and around the corner?
This is a fantastic question. What's the range of ESP?
5 yards per level. That's why I was asking how far the climb
Ah.
was. So for me at level 4, it would be 20 yards, 60 feet. So I think it's probably enough to go up the 15-foot climb and then in another 45 feet to them.
Yeah, I think.
Right, like, I mean, how do you imagine the spell working? Like, if you're trying to block your thoughts from being read, do you need to shut the door to your room?
It does go through doors, unfortunately.
Oh, it goes through rock, 2 inches of metal. So it does go through wood.
So the situation I'd like to avoid is I'm in my stone house, and the door is open on the north side, but you're on the south side of my stone house. So in that situation, I feel like you wouldn't be able to read my mind, even if you have enough range to go all the way around the house and through the door.
Yeah.
But if the opening is sort of facing you and it's just at like a maybe not the most optimal angle, I think that is legit. Because if you're at the bottom of the cave, I think you can go up and over, but you probably couldn't go like up and over and around.
Okay.
I think there'll be some fuzziness to the boundaries of the spell.
Sure.
So you can read from down there, and you can hear as the woman gets the information back from Atropos that there are ways to break these arrangements and these marriages. The young woman should come and stay with Atropos, where she will train her to be a wizard, a sorcerer, a wild mage of sorts, and leave her life behind. The young woman is not super pleased with this. She didn't want to be married to the guy, but she also doesn't want to become a cave witch up in the mountains, sniffing fumes. She begs for another option, a third possibility, please. And that is when Atropos huffs some more fumes from the earth and tells her that there will be a place for her soon in the land where the tower will rise. The girl's like, what the fuck does that mean? And Atropos is like, you will know what it means when the time comes, child. But you can stay here longer. You can stay with me for as long as you please. And you can feel the shiver going up the woman's spine as you read her thoughts.
She got a healing proficiency in there somewhere.
And with this, the young woman will extract herself from the situation as carefully and quickly as possible. She will climb down the awkward wall and see you and give you a bit of like a nod, bow, curtsy combo thing.
I will say, pardon my intrusion. I'll bow. And sort of offhand, non sequitur, I would tell her, Necrot, gesturing behind me to like the southwest, is a sprouting bulb of civilization. It welcomes all with open arms.
How did you know?
Know what?
Are you just saying that?
I'm
She seems confused. You clearly are answering the questions in her mind, but she doesn't know how you know them, and she stands there flabbergasted as you scale the wall.
Yeah. All who seek refuge and respite may rest in the shadow of our tower. As I climb
she
the stones to
remains
Atropos's cave,
baffled as you enter the cave, and she vanishes from your view. And there's Atropos leaning against a wall, sort of resting and relaxing from the toils of her visions. But she opens a lazy eye at you, lazy wart-covered, boiled eye. And says, Divan,
You've been gone for so long. I miss our nightly visits.
I miss our communion as well. My path has taken me southward from hills to sea. And what should I find upon my return but a giant problem looming right over our city?
Are you here seeking guidance? Wisdom? Counsel?
Trading information. It is it is important that we what should I call us? That we sorcerers stick together, keep the information flowing. Is it not?
And you have something for me then?
What is it you seek? Tales, legends, knowledge.
The edges of her smile curl deviously as she beckons you forth towards her.
Mm-hmm.
And then she
She will try and like put an arm around you and lean in onto you and say, "Tell me a tale, Divan. The things you have seen and the places you have been."
And
she will like
I will tell her.
cradle herself against you, leaning on you, almost in like a cuddly way as you tell her these tales.
Put my arm around her and lean her hand on my shoulder and tell her a tale of sin and hubris and God's punishment, rivers of blood, and kingdoms under the sea. I'll tell her of my journeys. And spend many hours here.
Yes.
I will, I'll tell her of the sea elves and their fallen princess and the crown that they gave me in return. If you think you can restrain yourself, if you promise not to be greedy, you may don it for a moment and ask but one question.
She turns her neck or her head around on her neck. It goes maybe just a little bit farther than one would be comfortable with. Just a little too flexible in the neck. And her eyes narrow at you as for the first time in your tortured relationship with this woman, you have placed limits on her and offered her things that have been beyond her reach. And she recognizes this as a shift. She does not like it.
I think she already knew. I mean, she's clearly out here looking for another apprentice.
But she will gingerly reach for your head.
Do you promise?
Yes, I promise.
You will return me my crown when
I am no thief.
Once you have asked your question. I nod and I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if I've already told her about Remus, the last person that took this crown, and their fate, but I'll remove it and let her wear it and use one charge of legend lore as she sees fit.
Okay. She will put on the crown
poke her head into the fumes and put her face like real close to the crack in the ground, close to the normal. So her nose is actually sticking through it, her long, spindly nose. And breathe deep. And the combination fumes and legend lore spell dazzle her mind. And she will eventually, after a few moments pass, reel back and exhale. You'll see the smoke actually coming out of her mouth as she breathes out, and then passes out on the ground for a moment. Crown sliding off.
I pick up the crown and hold it in my hand. I don't put it immediately back on my head.
Yeah, it takes her a minute to come to. And then she does, and her eyes fix upon you, and head cocks to the side. Oh, Devon. What a creature you will be. I have seen your future. And it is...
The visions you have seen were yours to see. I do not need to know.
She chews her lip a little, wondering internally about the things she has seen. But holds
What do
her
you
tongue.
know of? What do you know of the giants, or this giant in particular, the goat thief?
He lives but 5 miles from here, she says, like crawling and pulling herself back into a corner of a cave. To the northeast, starts to curl up in a little ball. You'll find his lair. Or he will find you. She finally, in her cozy little corner, pulls a blanket around herself and leans against the wall, still awake, but clearly exhausted. She is still able to answer any questions you want, though.
Yeah. Have the giants troubled Necrop before, or is this the first time he's ventured out of the hills?
Is that to her or to me?
That's to her, or both. I mean, I rolled a 1 on my folklore check, so I think of giants and I'm like, oh, Jack and the Beanstalk, they live in families in the clouds, and right, my legend lore would like burst all those bubbles, and it was like, no, your your folklore was wrong.
They visit many a town, take the creatures that they desire, herd them on their own. Giant, chicken, and the troll.
I puzzle over this, thinking it should be a riddle I'm meant to work out on my own. Well, and eventually I'll leave if she doesn't have anything more specific to say.
She will tell you that you must follow the footsteps to the giant's lair, or follow in his footsteps. Her words are a little muttered, a little mumbled.
Yeah. Yeah. First, I must rest. The wounds of war of the Romulans are still fresh. You don't have any poultices or concoctions that aid in the healing process, do you?
Bring me the troll's blood.
Oh, there's that wasn't just a metaphor?
No, not a metaphor. An actual two-headed troll, she says. Sleep. Her half days.
Also northeast?
She waves to the northwest.
Cannot be killed. He can bleed.
Then I look around at her hut or at her cave. She seemed to be low on any supplies. Does she already have a source to like bring her food and water and that sort of thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, usually visitors will bring her something. Sometimes gold, sometimes food, and she's been known to use you in the past to like go out and buy things for her on her behalf.
That's what I was wondering, but it looks like she's found someone else in my absence and things are stocked here.
She's got a mild supply. She's got like 3 days worth of food here.
Mm-hmm. In any case, I'll leave after a few hours of storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And return to Krob.
All right.
And while away the rest of the week beside the the Qanat,
Mm-hmm.
practicing my staff skills with the spear,
Mm-hmm.
reading and studying by the pool.
Okay.
And cleansing and bathing myself in it because we don't know any better.
Right. Of course. And I think this is a great place for our first break.
Yes, indeed.
So we will see you on the other side with a little more Dancing with Death.